No, I have to say I agree with that quote, and it is a short squeeze. And it again, it started last January to become more visible into this transition. So I can't find fault with anything that he said. In fact, I agree with everything that he said. And I hope so because it's about darn time. Having said that, they need a large crisis to complete the transition into the new monetary system. And it doesn't happen just like that. And it doesn't happen easily. And it doesn't happen without a lot of pain. So yes, I do think that the ability to suppress the price of silver and gold, both, is broken. And I hope that's permanent. And it very well could be because of where we are inside of this currency life cycle system.
What if I told you that silver at $60 is not expensive, but actually cheap? According to monetary expert Lynette Zang, silver's real price has been hidden for decades, and when the paper manipulation finally ends, silver could explode into four-digit territory, shocking investors who weren't paying attention. Today, we're breaking down why silver prices have been suppressed, what happens when real price discovery begins, and why physical silver demand could drive a historic parabolic move. Stay till the end, because this isn't just about silver. It's about the collapse of a financial illusion. Lynette Zang, a well-known monetary historian, believes silver is one of the most manipulated assets on Earth, not because of supply and demand, but because of paper contracts on exchanges like COMEX and LBMA. For every single ounce of physical silver, there are dozens, sometimes hundreds of paper claims. These paper promises set the price, not real metal. As long as traders settle in cash, the system survives. But the moment investors demand physical delivery, the entire structure begins to crack.
You know, it always works like this. When something is suppressed for a really long time and then you let the brakes off, then it shoots in a direction. So technically, you know, silver's been suppressed for many, 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 many years. But it really was the start last year. And I think we talked about this where in the US, where it's primarily a paper market and the paper market has been leading the globe in pricing. But it started to shift last January into a physical market when the US imported a whole bunch of physical silver and a whole bunch of physical gold. And then we had backwardation where the current prices for delivery were much higher than the future prices. Because why would that happen? Well, because people don't think they're going to be able to deliver in the future because silver is a diminishing asset. It gets used up in manufacturing. And it seems like the transition it's not complete yet, not by any means. And I think that's when we're going to see the four-digit number for silver. But what's really happening is the physical, we're in a transition where number one, affordability matters again. And number two, supply and demand is ultimately going to matter again. And we're already in that transition. So, you know, plus it's really a reflex of what's happening in the debt markets, in the crypto markets, in all of the markets, you know, that are so severely inflated and overvalued. And all of a sudden, people are looking at gold and silver. But to your point, silver is outperforming gold at the moment because that's been even more suppressed, more volatile with the price action. And yet it's got full demand in every single sector of the markets. And you take a look at what's happening in the crypto. Is this a crypto winter? Is this the test? I don't know. I'm kind of surprised with the Wall Street and the government and the banks really pushing hard into that arena, why that area is doing so poorly. But there's only one place of demand for cryptocurrencies. That's it, one place. So if that demand dries up, this is my physical representation of a Bitcoin, which is designed to look like a gold coin. So you think that they're just the same. But I think that that's what's happening, a lot of what's happening. is the system is simply broken. This is not something that just happened. But I would say that 2022 was a big year when they started shifting and having to push rates up. And we're looking at what's happening in the global bond market. So the response in the physical monetary system, sound money, which is gold as the primary currency and silver as the secondary currency, they're going into their day, and demand and supply is mattering again, as it should. I think it will carry over to other countries, but I also think that India has been very forward over the years in first their gold scheme and now their silver scheme. And part of that, I think, has to do with the pricing of gold. And silver is, even at these levels, certainly for many people, a whole lot more affordable. And so I think that the trend that they've been watching with their population also, because that is a tradition in India for people to wear their wealth. They've been through hyperinflation. They've been through currency denominations not all that long ago. What was that? 2018, I think, or 16, something like that, where they demonetized like 85% of their currency. And so this to me is an additional scheme to, number one, there's part of them that needs the public to be somewhat resilient. But whenever they're going to deposit it into the system and they're going to pay interest on it, it's because the government is attempting to gather it and make it easy to, I don't know, dare I say it, confiscate? You know, that is something that I've been looking at, quite a bit. And that is something, that is a phenomenon that is global, whether it's done in an overt way, okay, turn in your gold, you have no choice, or it's done in a covert way through these schemes. Either way.
Very interesting.
Oh, I'm telling you, either way, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So if you deposit it in the bank, and they want to confiscate it, they're going to do it. Rather than what? Go door to door. They've been working on this, well, primarily with gold, now with silver, but they've been working on this for a very long time. I know a big paper that came out was back in 2019, trying to entice the population to deposit their gold, which is money, and they know it's money. And silver now, it's a function of price, I think, as well.
According to Lynette, the paper market is an illusion. If even a small percentage of contract holders demand physical silver at the same time, the exchanges simply don't have the metal. This is when paper markets fail, forced cash settlements occur, and real price discovery begins. When manipulation ends, silver doesn't rise slowly. It reprices violently. That's why Lynette says, silver moving past $60 is just the beginning, not the top. Many investors think $60 silver is extreme. Lynette strongly disagrees. She says, people celebrating $60 don't understand what's coming. Once silver breaks key levels, short sellers panic, paper positions unwind, physical premiums soar. At that point, price movement is no longer gradual. It becomes parabolic, just like the 1970s silver rally, but on a much larger scale, with far more debt and currency risk.
That is exactly the point. But the only way you're ever really going to have true price discovery if it really is on a true supply and demand market. And so, yes, that is part of this transition. And I don't know that governments are really keen on the public having the ability to maintain their wealth, but the public is just about the right size to help the government accumulate that wealth if it is held in an easy place for them to take. And what they'll do is they'll come out and they might make you, if they'll either do it overtly or they might even do it a little covertly by getting the public to think that this is what they would say, one-off thing, right? So in other words, it's only going to happen once. and then you don't have to worry about it. So therefore you don't have to change your habit. But, India has not been really good at enticing their population into these schemes. I mean, some people have gone along, but yeah, I think silver is a critical mineral. It's used, and so is gold, but silver is used, well, they're both used in every single sector of the global economy, but silver more. And it gets used up in manufacturing. So, yep. I mean, there's only in physical form of anything. I don't care whether you're talking about lumber or oil or gold or silver or anything. In physical form, there is a finite amount. Even if they find another hoard that they didn't know about, there's still a finite amount. Unlike all of the contracts that have been driving all of this price action. So yeah, I mean, that's the most exciting thing for me is the banks losing control over manipulation of the sound money market, both gold and silver. It shouldn't be that way. They shouldn't have control. This is God's money. This is sound money that bankers and central bankers and governments cannot inflate away. Either one of them. And yes, I'm very happy to see the price action on silver, and gold just broke out of a triangle, I think yesterday. So a wedge. So I expect to see some really nice price action there. But yeah, technically silver has been breaking first, like a double cup formation like I've never seen in any other asset. And it broke out of that. That's an awful lot of suppression. I mean, you're going back probably 100 years or so for that level of suppression. So it's not a surprise to me. And we've been talking about it. I think silver, gold, physical is now rearing its head again and taking control of these markets. And I love that. It's about darn time.